Good morning, good evening, Mr. X's class. We're here to talk about the word exclude. It's a verb, it has two meanings, and it's the opposite of include. And if you look at the X there, X is like outside or not. Kind of like your ex-wife is not your wife, your ex-husband is not your husband anymore, right? In the same way, exclude is the opposite of include. Include is an antonym. So include means you let something in. Exclude, keep it out. So for example, so we can say it with ideas, or usually definition 2 is usually with people. So number 1 would be deliberately not include something like an idea or a concept in what you're doing, in an activity. So for example, we exclude short stories. Or we to not include like a kind of something, I guess also. So this is a kind of short stories. Short stories are a kind of text. We exclude them from quarter 4 curriculum this quarter. Why? Because we're studying poetry. We don't have time to do poetry and short stories. So we decided, the English department decided, we're going to have one genre, género, per quarter. So this quarter we will not study short stories. Leaving it out, deliberately on purpose, we decided. Okay, second one would be to prevent somebody or something from entering a place or taking part in something. So for example, segregation. Under segregation laws, black people, and then actually many people don't know this, but in California there used to be segregation against Mexicans also, against Latinos. So black people and Mexicans, no, I shouldn't say Mexicans, not just Mexicans, right? I mean, I think if you're Central American, they didn't care if you were any Latinos, I think, actually. But we're excluded from many businesses and public places. So that means if they wanted, black people or Latinos wanted to come into a business, they would say, no, you can't come in. Whites only. So, like, remember in the, we saw that if you were here first quarter, there's one of the short sections in and the earth did not devour him. There's a boy who wants to go into a barber shop and they won't serve him because he's Mexican. So that used to happen a lot. And maybe it still does, but I mean it used to legally happen. It was like the law said. So excluded, not allowed to go in, not allowed to take part in something that other people are doing. So that's usually maybe a more negative meaning. And okay, Spanish, excluir no admitir. Here we have a sentence about poetry. Poetry excludes text written without line breaks, because we said the basic definition of poetry is poetry, poems have to have line breaks, which means that the line doesn't go all the way across the page. So if you have a text where the line goes all the way across the page, you can say that's not poetry. Poetry does not include that. Does not include anything where the line goes all the way across the page. Like, this is a workbook, but there are lines that go all the way across the page. I'll find a better one. Most books have lines that go all the way across the page. That's not a poem. Poetry excludes that book. Because in poetry, lines do not go all the way across the page. Lines are shorter. That's one basic definition of poetry. Poetry, you can also say poetry has figurative language and it has creative use of language and things like that. Word families for exclude. Exclusion, you know what that part of speech would be? Noun, right. And this is remember, T-I-O-N and S-I-O-N can be verbs in Spanish. Are they verbs in English? Never. No. Only nouns. That's a difference from Spanish. Anytime you see that, that's always a noun, not a verb. So exclusion is the process of excluding somebody or something. Exclusionary is an adjective. Could describe like a policy or something. Like segregation was an exclusionary policy because it didn't allow people in. Exclusionist could be a noun. I think it's on your card probably as a noun. Est is usually a person. Ista. It's a person who believes in exclusion. How about exclusive? You know what that is? Adjective. Exclusive. No. Exclusive is an adjective. Yeah. Exclusive is an adjective. This is usually a more positive in a way, or it's like, well, it's an exclusive is people use it to describe like luxurious, sophisticated type thing. And what it means is basically like an exclusive hotel, exclusive restaurant. What does that mean? That fancy rich people can go there because it's more expensive. But when people say this, they mean it in like a good way. Oh, it's fancy, it's luxurious, it's the best quality and stuff. But why? But if you think about it, it comes from the word exclude. So it's excluding the other people who can't afford to go in there. But people say it like for a nice restaurant. Like it's an exclusive restaurant, meaning that not everybody can go in there. Only people who have money, basically. Exclusively. Oh, and that's one way use of exclusive. Exclusive can also just be an adjective describing. Let's see. It's an exclusive. Describes something that excludes, but this is a common use of it. So I mean, it doesn't have to be this, but it could be other kinds of exclusion. But this is a common use of it. It's luxurious. What about exclusively? What is the part of speech of that? How do you know? ly makes it an adverb. So that's exclusively in an exclusive way. In an exclusive way. Are there questions about this? Okay, thank you very much for filming and thanks for watching today.